Good morning. Today we're going to talk about grief. Grief, the simple definition, is a loss. And so any kind of loss that we're experiencing can produce some feeling of grief, whether it's loss of a pet, loss of a loved one, loss of a job. And so today we're going to talk about a few things to keep in mind as we go through the grieving process. Number one, we need to really work on accepting our emotions as they come. A lot of times we may second guess our emotions. I shouldn't feel this way. I'm grieving more for this person who wasn't even my parent than I did for my own parent. Well, maybe you were closer to that person. And so really just kind of accepting, or it was just an animal. Well, it obviously wasn't just an animal. It was a beloved pet. And so sometimes people will say, well, it's time to get over it. It's time to get back out there. It's time to take your emotions as they come. There's no timeline of how long it takes to grieve or the type of grief, which leads us to number two. Everyone grieves differently. And keep that in mind. So if we have a loved one die, some family members may want to quickly go in, take care of the business, have an estate sale, divide up the things that were left, and those types of things. And other people may say, no, let's just wait, and they will want to keep things as they are. Neither's right nor wrong, it's just different. And so recognizing that we may have different needs, we may need to negotiate that out. But the risk is we oftentimes see the other person as having a flaw. They don't care, or wow, they need to move on with life. And both are judgmental, and so we need to avoid that and understand that we are grieving in a different way, a different time frame. And then we can negotiate out. If we're accepting, we can begin to negotiate out. For example, what do we do with grandfather's stuff? Number three, remember to ask for what you need. When we're grieving, a lot of times people talk about the steps of grief or the stages of grief, and it sometimes is perceived as going from one step to the other, and actually it's very, very messy, and we can jump from anger to denial to acceptance and back to anger, and all of those can just kind of jump around. And so one moment we may just need to be left alone, and we may tell people we need our privacy. But then the next day, we may just need to talk to someone, and we wonder where everyone is. Well, that may be because we told everyone to give us their space. So you need to really be clear and concise with, I need this, I need that, to help people know what they can do for us. If we're trying to support someone who is grieving, it's best to say, I'm sorry for your loss, what can I do for you? And avoid, statements like they're in a better place, or, it's God's, plan, because that may come across wrong to the person who is grieving. And finally, when we're grieving, we need to build the life after. If we have physical ailments and are aging, we have to figure out how do we cope around that? How can we still make life meaningful? If we have lost a loved one, how do we go forward with our life? What's the next step? Sometimes people are surprised when they get out of a job that they just hated, that they still may go through the grieving process. They spend a lot of time maybe in that job, or there's certain employees and coworkers that they are grieving that they're leaving, even though it was the best thing for them to do is to leave, and they're going to maybe enjoy their next job much more. So again, accept, recognize everyone grieves differently, ask for what you need, and work on building the life after. Thank you.